as we speak today, that the way to go is electronic transmission. Let me nail the last arguments. You know, I've been making a series of arguments since yesterday. As at the 13th of January, 2013, go and fact check me. Alhaji Lai Muhammad made a strong case on the Nation newspaper for electronic voting and using the electronic process for voting leading up to the 2015 elections. You can go and fact check me. The question we should ask is, why is it that those that made a strong case for it then are balking today? Just like how they tried as much as possible to run away from it in 2022, but I'm sure they probably passed it there because they found a lacuna. And the lacuna was the fact that INEC could use its discretion. Because these people, they get their experts in, they get their consultants that analyze these things for them, that think for them. They pay people to think for them. What do you think they use the state resources for? They pay people to think for them. So I'm sure that's why they probably pushed it through. I will hazard some things that will happen. It will get to a point where the pressure gets a lot on them. They might balk, they might not balk. But if they balk, there will be another problem. If they finally say, okay, they will make mandatory transmission happen, there will be another problem. The problem with the president's assent, and they're going to play around that for a while. Might probably be a replica of what happened in 2019, or it might be a different mode they're going to use. They will see every way to be able to frustrate the assent. Let me push it one step further. They know that Nigerians do not follow up. Till today, the committee they set up in December to review the tax complaints, has that committee give you a report as of February? The discrepancies in the tax results, has the committee give you their final report? So because they know that attention is like that of what we call Drosophila melanogaster, that of a fruit fly. So they know the attention span is low. So they will balk around and they will play around. So I see that scenario also playing out. It will be incumbent on them if they, they finally get it signed by the president. And in an event where they get it signed, it will have probably because they will have also go to look at other provisions that you will not see, and their advisors will have told them, okay, there's a wiggle room here. And that's what will be signed. And in an event, even if it's even signed, you will see, since we've now learned that this is how they behave from the tax law, there might be discrepancy between what they showed you they passed and what they signed. I don't trust them in any shape or form. Nigerians, you are in for a long ride. Eternal vigilance is the way. I've given you 3 scenarios. One is either they rigmarole around it, the president rigmarole around it, they don't sign it into law. If they sign it, there's problem. Because when they sign it, what they assent to, what they conclude, what they harmonize might be different from what they will sign. And even if that happens, if there's a matching in there, it must have been that they might have gone to look at other provisions that is embedded in there. Because I was seeing part of the document, yes, it's about 300 and something pages. They know that people will not be able to skim through all of those 300 and something pages, so they will hide it. President Tinubu is saying insecurity is giving Nigerians sleepless nights. He's wrong. Insecurity is killing Nigerians. He killed over 200 people in Kwara. How are we going to wake up those people? Should be somebody that's alive, that can sleep, have sleepless nights and wake up. Somebody that is dead is gone forever. So when Mrs. Tinubu was also going to speak in America, what we are just begging both of them is end insecurity. You are the one that is the commander-in-chief. If you were not commander-in-chief, I will never bother you one day. All of this I'm saying today is because President Tinubu is president. The moment he ceases to be president, the person that becomes president after him is my concern. Because for me, I want this country to be good. So they should look for ways to fix insecurity. The airstrike is a blessing. You can say any platitudes you want to say in America. Have we stopped the killing? No. As long as we have not stopped the killing, we have not started. Thank you.
Dr. Abbati.
Okay, let me start with the Senate. The Senate had been on a 2-week recess. Now it's reconvening today as a matter of urgency to address what Senate President Godswill Akpabio had described as, votes and proceeding stage. Now, on February 4, that was last week, the same Senate voted on the issues, clause by clause, based on recommendations from the Senate Electoral Matters Committee. A number of issues, critical ones that are there, about the rights of persons in correctional centers to vote, about reduction of the time when INEC announces the election timetable, about funding, early funding for INEC to process the elections, a number of other issues. But at the end of the day, the only issue that Nigerians are discussing is this idea of mandatory real-time electronic transmission of results. And all the other details have been lost in translation. My fear is that this conversation is going to be very long indeed, because there are other amendments that Nigerians will be interested in. But the issue now is about mandatory real-time electronic transmission, and the argument over the adoption by the Senate of Section 60, Sub 5 in the Electoral Act 2022. Now, the Senate President himself has said, we did not jettison electronic transmission. After all, it's in the guidelines for INEC. And also, the INEC chairman also has said, electronic transmission is still part of the program. And we're deploying technology. And BVAS, he quoted, is a game changer and all of that. But Nigerians, civil society groups, a whole range, political party leaders, the opposition generally are now saying that, look, what we want is the version that was passed by the House of Representatives, which talks about real-time mandatory electronic transmission. Now, today, it will be interesting as the Senate takes its votes and proceedings process, which is actually the point at which the bill is passed after the vote. That's what I imagine they will do today, relying on what Senator Akpabio said over the weekend. That, they will take along some of these concerns and try to see how they meet Nigerians halfway. Will a real-time transmission be possible? Should they be made mandatory? Now, I argued in my back page column in this day newspaper today that there are a number of issues. For example, when you say IREV, transmission to IREV in the Supreme Court decision 2023, and the Supreme Court has not yet reversed itself, and it is not clear that this National Assembly is going to make legislation in a different direction, said that IREV is a viewing portal, it's not a collation center. As long as that is the state of the law and the National Assembly retains it, you can't have what the people are asking for. I also tried to interrogate this whole idea about electronic voting, electronic transmission. Yes, it is desirable because the people want to monitor their votes. They want to defend their votes. But for you to transmit electronically, I again looked at the what is called the excuses given by the National Assembly and what the reality is in other jurisdictions. In Brazil, they had to try electronic voting in 2000, in 2002, for about 4 years before they eventually decided on it. In Japan, they tried electronic voting and electronic transmission in some prefectures, as they called it. But they then discovered that some people they call malicious insiders could still manipulate, electronic voting. Estonia is perhaps the only country where, electronic voting is almost foolproof in terms of the results. You have some other countries. Australia is also adopted in part. And my question is, well, what is the best model? Should we first try it out first, learn some lessons from other jurisdictions in terms of the advantages and the disadvantages? But the big problem that we have in Nigeria is a question of trust. The trust deficit is so high that sometimes when you relate with the Nigerian state and those in power at a particular time, you have to go for the maximum. You don't do trial and error. You just say, let us do it now. If it fails, let it fail. But is that the international best practice with this?